hope you're having a great day. Today I'm working on making some homemade enchiladas, and I thought I'd share the recipe with you. These are called super beefy enchiladas. You can certainly use chicken if that's what your family prefers, but we like beef in this recipe. I do have another recipe for chicken enchiladas, so let me know if you'd like that. It's a white chicken enchilada recipe. But you're gonna cook about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and mine's almost done here. And then of course you're gonna need tortillas. Now I have made my homemade tortillas. I did a reel and a short on those recently, and it seemed like everyone thought they were a good idea. If you do sourdough, they're definitely a good idea. My family is loving them, so I thought I would try them in this enchilada recipe, and I think it's going to turn out really good. This time I've seasoned them heavily with garlic and oregano from the garden, so I think that's going to be yummy. You do not have to use homemade tortillas for this recipe. No shame in buying store-bought. In fact, the recipe calls for corn tortillas. I'm going to try it with these flour tortillas. I'm thinking it might get a little gummy, but I think it'll be really yummy still. All right, while the beef is continuing to cook, I'm going to chop an onion. I only need 1/2 cup of onion. This recipe, I love this recipe because it's so easy, it's so simple, it's delicious, and it serves a lot. And when you have a teenage boy, that's important. So we'll chop about 1/2 cup. I usually just eyeball it. I don't really measure 1/2 cup, but yeah, I usually try to cook enough so that we can eat. I'll cook it once and then we eat it twice. So my family pretty much expects there's going to be leftovers the next night, and everybody's fine with it. It works out for us. You know, some people eat leftovers for lunch, which of course that's great too. We usually just eat a light lunch and then have leftovers for dinner, so that works out well for us. So my beef is basically cooked. It's just a tiny bit pink here and there. I went ahead and drained the grease, and now I'm gonna add in my onion. And we're not trying to get it completely cooked, but just a little bit softened so that there's not like hard crunchy onions, but it will cook in the oven, of course. So we'll just cook this for a few more minutes, and then we'll be ready for the next step. While the onions are softening, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the soupy sauce. I'm trying a new enchilada sauce. It's called Saucy Lips. We'll see how that is. It's supposed to be like preservative free, so we'll see. Maybe I'll have to look into making my own enchilada sauce. The ingredients are all things that we, would grow in the garden this summer. That might be fun. And what I love about this recipe is that the soup, the soup thickens the sauce, but it also tones it down. So my family does not like anything that's going to be too spicy. So next, we're going to add a can of condensed tomato soup. I do make my own tomato soup. I've done a recipe for you, or a video on that, but mine is not condensed, so I'm thinking we want that thickness, so. And then finally, a can of, actually the recipe calls for cream of mushroom, but I only have cream of chicken today, so I think it'll be fine. I thought I'd share this because I did it in another video and someone told me that they had never heard of it and that it was really useful. I save all of my butter wrappers. I just put them in the fridge, and then I just grease the pan with the butter wrapper. So there's just a tiny bit of butter left on that wrapper, and it works wonderfully to grease the pan before you bake in it, rather than using the Pam spray or whatever. So I don't know if you can see, but that's just a little coat of butter on there. That'll work perfectly. All right, the onions are good and soft. And like I said, they'll cook more in the oven. Now we're gonna add a half a cup of cheese to this mixture. That looks about right, maybe a little bit more. And then we're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to fill them up and roll them. Okay, let's see how this goes with the homemade tortillas. They're a little bit wonky shaped, but that's okay. Now I have to tell you, the recipe calls for 1 heaping tablespoon of meat. And I just disagree with that. I just don't think anyone would only want that much. So I don't follow that. I just put, you know, a fair amount in there. And then roll it up and place it in your pan, 9x13 pan. A heaping tablespoon, I mean, that would just be 1 scoop of meat. I'm not sure what they were thinking. Okay, I've got them all rolled up, and now you simply just pour this sauce on top. You know, and as I was thinking, as I was rolling these, I was thinking about 1.5 tablespoons, but the recipe calls for corn tortillas, and those are a lot smaller, so I'm betting that's why. I couldn't even fit all of these in one pan. I did go ahead and just put the last 2 I had in a separate pan, because like I said, I know that teenage son of mine is going to want more than just 1 enchilada. So we just pour this over. It's very saucy, it's very soupy, but we love them. The final step, of course, is to top with more cheese, because cheese makes everything better. I believe the recipe calls for 1.5 cups total, and we had already mixed in about 1/2 cup. So we're looking at about 1 cup of cheese on top here. Again, I don't measure. I just do it till I think it looks good. And in fact, I'm just going to use the rest of this bag of cheese that I have today. There you have it. That's the recipe. Isn't that easy? So you'll bake this for 25 to 30 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. I got mine ready early. I love to prepare supper early if possible. We have to go into town to pick up my daughter later, so I don't want to be rushing around when we get home. So this is all ready. I'll just pop it in the oven. I might even pop it in the oven before we go, so then when we get home it'll be ready to go. Let me know what you think. It was requested that I do more cooking and more of my recipe videos, so I'm happy to share. Of course, as you probably know, flowers and flower farming, that is my true passion and my first love. But I have other interests as well, so I'm happy to share some cooking, of course sourdough, and gardening of vegetables, sewing, you know, there's lots of other things that I'm happy to share with you. So I'll show you the finished product in a little bit, and thanks so much for watching, and let me know if you try it.